Welcome back. I'm returning now for a conversation with my good friend David Thornburg. We're exploring the types of challenges under creativity and innovation, specifically this time in math and science. And what I've done is I've selected two examples from the 84 projects that are there. One of them is an optional example, the first one we're going to do, but the second one is one that everybody's going to do. So let's see what David has to say and what he thinks about the types of tasks that we're going to be exploring. The first one's from mathematics, and what we're saying here is we want students to be able to identify trends and forecast possibilities. That's one of the challenges that's under creativity and innovation. And this one we call model the future. So the description, the prompt for the students and teachers says as follows: growth patterns are the result of complex interactions. Some are linear. For each family, you need one more house or apartment, while some are algebraic. The number in each family are usually different ages and will go to different schools, and the proportion of families with young children to retirees will create a different balance of needs for social services. The project, what they want you to do is they want you to project the changes in the physical size of your community over the next 50 years based on population trends, using physical and digital models to demonstrate the underlying mathematical concepts of growth. And this is tied to the math strands of number and operations and algebra and geometry for those of you who are keeping score at home. The strategy that we're going to use once again is identifying similarities and differences. So students are going to be looking at the similarities and differences of these different models. As a person who's involved in STEM, what do you think of this challenge, and how could it be used to help students and teachers think more mathematically?
Well, I think it's a wonderful challenge because, to start with, anytime you're dealing with a community, you're dealing with the students' own lives, and so it has a personal connection. The amount of labor that it takes to look at census data for their community, identify population distributions, which involves, among other things, graphing data, etc. It's very, very rich. And then the question is, when you start forecasting the future from all of this, there are new things that have to be added to it. For example, mortality rates in the community. How does the population age cohort shift throughout time? I mean, we've seen, for example, in the United States, we had the baby boom and then the baby bust and then the echo boom, over a long period of time. Anytime you're talking about 50 years or so, which is the subject of this particular challenge, you've got two generations to deal with. So you not only have to take a look at the people who live today, but you also have to take a look at the people who are being born, which means looking at birth rates, and then the likelihood of them having children in the future. Now, this is where it starts to get tricky, because people who are already born, you can take statistics, and given how healthcare operates and longevity increases over time because of medical advances, you can make fairly accurate estimations of what that population cohort is going to look like in the future. That's how insurance companies work. They understand how to do this very well. And going a generation out, that's easy to do too, because we know the birth rate today of children, et cetera. What we don't know, though, is what that next generation is going to be like. I mean, for example, if there's radical global climate change, maybe the population density of a particular area is going to change. Maybe it's going to change not because of climate change, it's going to change because people just found another cool place that they want to live and move to. We saw that in California during the boom years, when a lot of people in the high-tech industries were leaving and going to places like Utah and Oregon and other places where small towns were suddenly getting very large because of these migrants from other states. So this type of problem is wonderful. It involves a lot of creativity and speculation, but it is also grounded in a nice quantitative set of data. And it's quite possible, and highly likely in fact, that two different students using the same data sets will come up with different projections for the future. Not perhaps radically different projections, but different projections just the same. And this is important because in mathematics, a lot of people feel that mathematical problems all have this, that if you have one problem, there's one answer to that problem. And the fact is, a lot of mathematics is a tool to help you formulate multiple answers to a problem.
Excellent, excellent. I think that's an insight about math as it is in the real world that's different from math as it is in the back of the book.
Well, we don't teach mathematics in the real world. Excuse me, in the K-12 system, we teach math. I mean, we don't teach math even. We teach math. I mean, we introduce kids to number and simple computation. I mean, I'm sorry. I could go to Walgreens and buy a calculator for $2 to do what we spend inordinate amounts of time having kids do. You want to see kids do something interesting in school? Yes, kids, what's the least number of crayon colors that it takes to color in a map of the world so that no two countries are sharing the same color?
Wow.
Okay, that is a problem that resulted finally in somebody solving it. I think the problem's been around for hundreds of years. I think it was just solved in the last couple of decades. You know, it's a PhD thesis that people fell on their swords trying to prove that. But it's the kind of problem you could give to kids. And those are the kinds of challenges. This is the challenge that we just talked about is the kind of challenge. When we talk about changing education, folks, we need to take those math books and really give some serious thought as to what it is we're teaching our kids.
I want to thank you so much for your time today, David, in joining with us with this conversation. We look forward to future ones as we go down this road. I'm sure that folks are going to be hitting rewind and going back to hear some things that you said again because they bear repeating. But thank you very much
Thank you
for being here with us today.
Thrilled to be here. Thank you.